Hello, I'm Blanche Marvin, and what you see before you is a woman of 86 years of age, and the story I want to tell is at a time when I was 19 going on 20, and that was in New York, in an era that was quite distant and different than things are today. It was a time when young writers that are now classical writers, like Tennessee Williams, and it was the discovery of his particular play, Glass Menagerie, that I want to tell the story. Tennessee was an unknown writer coming in for the first time on Broadway with a play that he was really not sure would work because no one ever did a play about the South on Broadway, much less a Southern writer. My husband was going to be doing the most important play that was to happen on Broadway of that season. It was called On Whitman Avenue, and it was about a black family moving into a white neighborhood. Now, there were never problem plays like that or social significant plays about the black community. And this was the first time that black actors would act seriously outside of doing the Shakespeare plays. However, this play was then we were going to be able to witness black actors of serious acting quality. So everybody was tuned in, including Mrs. Roosevelt. President Roosevelt was still alive and President of the United States, and she was very concerned about this play and actually came to visit it many times. Now, Tennessee and I were thrown together because Margot Jones, who was directing Glass Menagerie, was going to be directing on Whitman Avenue, which was going to be the big moment of her life. And Glass Menagerie was just something she was going to do because it had been done in Chicago, and this was a Southern writer that she got kind of nurtured, and it wasn't going to be, and she wasn't even sure it was going to make it at all. Nobody even thought could possibly make it. In the rehearsal period, Eddie Darling had directed the play in Chicago. He was 54 years old and was playing the leading part. But Eddie was a drunkard, and he would come drunk to the rehearsals, and he'd mess up the lines all the time, and poor Tennessee didn't know what to do or what to say, because after all, this was the man that originally directed his play, and now he's playing the lead, and he was just beside himself. Lorette Taylor, who was absolute magic, was an alcoholic. Margot, who was living with us on and off, then begged me to come to the rehearsals to distract poor Tennessee from what was going on and that she could deal with the rehearsal period because this was really a handful. So I said happily yes. As it so happened, there was Tennessee, his first Broadway play, absolutely terrified of New York and Broadway. And there was I at 19 doing my first Broadway play, terrified of New York and not being able to fit in, not understanding all these sophisticated people. The two of us then began to talk about our lives. And Tennessee then used to say, what's your name? What's your name again? And I'd say, well, it's Blanche Zohar. He said, Blanche Zohar? That's so exotic. What a beautiful name. He said, what? Zohar, what's that? I said, well, Zohar means shining bright as a star. Oh, he said, Blanche Zohar. I said, my name is Thomas Williams. What an ordinary name. I said, well, listen, you called yourself Tennessee. Take it as a permanent name then. That's kind of interesting, Tennessee Williams. Who'd ever hear of anybody having a name like Tennessee? So do it if that's what you want, if you want something more exotic. He said, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I said, Tennessee, you seem to think that this play is concerned, and the leading part is about you, the narrator, who is actually yourself, and you're telling your life story. I said, but we're sitting here, and I have to tell you that as far as I'm concerned, he's not the lead, but you've got an actress there playing your mother, and I assume it's your mother, and that's Lorette Taylor, and she's magic. She carries the play for me. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, that you're writing about your own life, and I just wondered what this all would mean, and eventually whether this will carry that kind of personal stories compared to my husband's play, which Margot is going to be directing, which is a play of social significance and that importance in New York. The end of the story is nobody expected Glass Menagerie to become anything, and everybody expected On Whitman Avenue. But that is the nature of theater. You cannot predict anything. Glass Menagerie took over all of New York. Although On Whitman Avenue was a huge success and it never made the impact and was completely overshadowed by the play of Glass Menagerie.